welcome to this week's live broadcast. Today I have an interesting topic that I wasn't 100% planning on discussing, but it came up, and so I thought it was an interesting perspective to share. Some of you may have received my weekly email this morning. If you have not, then you probably will. And if you are not subscribed to my email list, please click the link in the Facebook page and sign up. I plan to spend some time creating an email every week to share with you on various topics and then following up with a Facebook Live video. So this topic is about emotions. And as we all know, as people, as in our experience of life, we experience emotions. Almost all of us do. And it's, for the most part of the human experience. We all experience emotions differently. We all have different meanings associated with them. Some emotions feel good, happy, joy, excited, and some emotions don't really feel so good. So things like grief or loneliness or resentment or anger. When emotions feel good, we tend to describe them as positive, and when they don't feel good, we tend to describe them as negative. And one concept I'd like to offer for you to consider is that all emotions just are. They all serve us in certain ways, even the ones that don't feel so good, and in excess, they can be detrimental. So even the emotions that we consider positive could be detrimental if in excess. For example, if somebody's just happy, 100% happy, happy, happy all the time, most likely there's a bit of an inauthenticity around how they're experiencing their life. And while they may be a really happy person, it is normal for that person to still experience moments of anger or sadness or loneliness, for example. So I don't really love the terms positive and negative emotions. I prefer to think of them as pleasant or unpleasant, and then to also think about how every emotion could serve us. Because when we think something is not good for us, we will resist it. We might become afraid of it. We'll run from it. And within the case of emotions, like we can repress them. Repressed emotions are definitely not our friend because that's going to be pent up energy inside of us that at some point, somehow, guess what? It's going to come out and not in the way that we might want it to. So the focus today specifically is on the emotion of anger. Now, anger, I think, is a really interesting one because it is one that a lot of us describe as negative, and it certainly doesn't feel very good. We also have a lot of judgment around anger. We judge people when they are angry. We judge ourselves when we're angry. Some people have so much judgment that they don't allow themselves to experience anger or feel really guilty if they do. Some people may not feel that they have 100% control in how they express anger. If I don't have control in how I express joy and I stand up in the middle of a class and go, yay! People might look at me like I'm a little weird, but for the most part, that's okay. Fine. But if I were to stand up in the middle of a class and express an outburst of anger, well, that probably wouldn't be quite so acceptable. So there's a whole lot of rules around anger. There's stories, there's judgment, there's beliefs passed down from families or from past experiences. The other thing that is interesting is anger is an emotion linked a lot to past emotion. So if somebody brings me a present and makes me happy, it may remind me of a good experience when I was younger, but for the most part, my happiness isn't going to be profoundly amplified because 3 years ago, somebody brought me a gift and made me happy. Whereas with anger, it's so often intertwined with past experiences of that emotion or just past experiences of other emotions that somebody says something and we call it that trigger, right? And we're like, boom, we're pissed. And we're like, grr. And then we're like, wow, like that was quite the reaction, and then later one might realize like, wow, I really reacted because when I was young, blah, blah, blah used to happen and I hated it. And when you did that, it reminded me of it. So we all have those links, those stories, those histories. And as such, anger is a very complicated emotion. When it comes up, we often feel like it's happening to us. You know, and a lot of emotions are that way. If something happens and I'm joyful about it, the joy just kind of happens. And we commonly feel like we don't really have much of a say in our emotions. And for a lot of time, we don't. I mean, our emotions are often dictated by the filters of how we view things. And so if we see things a certain way, we're going to experience something. So, for example, if somebody walks in a room and says hi in a kind of a snippy way, and I view that as, wow, he must be really having a bad day. I wonder what's going on. I have the emotion of compassion. Whereas if I see that as, he's not very friendly, then I might have the emotion of anger or resentment. And neither one are right or wrong. And neither one of them are the truth about what the person is actually intending. But our filters and how we interpret things often will then dictate the emotion, the thoughts we think, which then dictate the emotions that we feel. However, it doesn't seem like that in the moment. It seems like what we're experiencing is the truth. So recently in my life, I experienced some anger, and I don't experience a lot of anger. I experience a lot of little annoyances, um, especially when I feel like people aren't doing things the way they're supposed to do them, like if you hire somebody. So we all have our little things that annoy us, and I experience a lot of those, but it's not often that I experience like I'm pissed. And what was interesting for me recently is I experienced that, and I was a little surprised. But what I did was I started to observe it from a place of curiosity. And that's what I want to share with you. Because sometimes these things are golden opportunities for self inquiry and exploration, they are learning opportunities. I'm not suggesting that it be repressed or ignored, or that whatever a person is angry about is not legit, um, or that they experience it in any less of a form than how they authentically, naturally would experience it. And while that is going on, think about the opportunity to sit out here and observe curiosity. Because oftentimes, number one, we can be very curious about the way we experience something. Like, I'm really mad right now, and I have that knot here, or I have that tension in my neck, or some people have a pit in their stomach. It's like, that's really interesting to just observe. How is that showing up physically in my body? It's an opportunity, which I won't go into detail now, to actually then sit, meditate, be with, bring energy and love to that area of your body where that emotion is manifesting. Um, but it's also just in the beginning a place to just start observing. And then to really just sit and look like, how angry am I? Why? Why am I angry right now? Like, really, this person did XYZ. What is it that it made me angry? Not, well, because he said or she said blah blah blah. Like, no, really, given that they said that, what is it that made you angry? How did you interpret it? What from your past might be amplifying? How might what that person said or did or the circumstance remind you of something from your past that upset you? If that happened, did you ever actually deal with it? Did you express it? Did you resolve it? That could be an opportunity then to let go of old angers and resentments. Are there values that are being compromised? Values I'm going to probably do a lot of different talks in different areas on values, but values are a fascinating realm because there's so much of that running in the background of how we see and view things. When things are not aligned with our values, when we have what's called a values challenge, oh boy, that can get our blood going. So is there something that is compromising a value around how you think people should be treated, a value around how you think people should work, a value around kindness to animals, or working hard, or handling money, or telling the truth, or I mean, there's 5 million examples. What belief or value or the way things should be is being compromised inside of whatever happened that made you angry? So the possibilities for exploration here are endless. And when we can, in every area of life, when we can get into that place of awareness, being aware, from that place, we can evolve and grow to a place where we can be at choice. You know, in the beginning, we just feel what we feel. And I'm not suggesting that we just repress it. Well, I don't want to be angry, so I'm just going to make it go away. It's not about that. But once things resolve, then I can calm down and say, wow, now I see that I'm really experiencing anger because X, Y, and Z really upset me. And it reminded me of this, and my value of that was compromised. Then I can be at a choice. Okay, now that I understand all that, and now that I've calmed down a little, how do I want to now have a conversation with somebody? Or how do I want to shift the situation or change something in my life? So it becomes a much more powerful place to stand, and a much more effective way to now shift how your life shows up for you and your own quality of life, by using it as a tool to learn while you're actually experiencing it. You know, for me, I was pissed. Like, I was like, "Ugh," like, you know, and at the same time, out here, that's not easy to do in the beginning. Self-awareness is like going to the gym, right? Like, you start with like the 5 pound dumbbell. You keep working out, you're going to be curling the 20 pound dumbbells. And it's the same thing. It takes practice, it takes time, and little by little by little, you start like cracking that door open to where you can literally start to observe yourself and learn from yourself, so that you can say, oh, okay, does that serve me? Do I enjoy that? Is that how I want to go through life? If not, like, what do I need to shift to stop this from happening? So I just found this fascinating. It really can shift the outcome. It also can have you feel not so much as a victim to the anger. When you're just out of control and reacting and screaming, yelling, or sulking, or pouting, or retreating to your room, or going into your cave, or whatever your go-to is when you get angry, it can definitely have you not feel so much at the effect of it. You may have noticed that I'm using the term that I'm experiencing anger. I prefer that over saying I am angry. I am angry is a redefinition of myself. It's like becomes like who I am in that moment. And I was very aware the whole time that I was just experiencing an emotion that is just an energy. Now, it is a low level energy, but it's just an energy. And I was experiencing it, and that was okay. Did I love it? No. Did I like it even? No. Was it fun? No. But that's all it was. And knowing that, I was able to experience it. I was able to express some things to a friend and to some fish in a lake who were very willing listeners. And from there, I was just able to be with it versus saying, I am it. It may just be semantics, but for me, that's a very important distinction. Again, maintaining my power, maintaining my definition of who I am as a person. Who I am is a loving, fun, happy, compassionate person. I am happy. That's the context in which I view my life. And with that, I was really angry. So I prefer to view it that I was experiencing anger versus I am angry, if that makes sense. So I invite all of you to just start taking a look, and you could do this really with any emotion. It just, for me, anger is so fascinating that I just wanted to use that as an example, and just start noticing, even joy. If you just are like, you know what, let's go, I'm in a great mood today, just stop for a moment. And not from a place of judgment. There's no space for judgment in any of this. Be like, wow, why am I so happy? This is great. What does it feel like? Where is it in my body? If the anger shows up as that pit in your stomach, where does happiness show up? Just go there, explore it, be with it, observe it. What prompted this? How might I repeat it? So it's all opportunities. It's so exciting. It's so fun. I love sharing about it. And if you ever have any questions, always feel free to reach out. And just make sure I didn't forget anything. I'll just remind you again, if you are not on the email list, please click the button on the Facebook page and sign up. Also, please invite all of your friends. The more people we have in our community, the better. There's lots of great things coming. My website is in the works. I'm going to be developing more programs this year, and I am already coaching. I have been for quite a while. So if you or anybody you know feels that you would love to start diving in and exploring energy and coaching and how all of this can be applied to your life, then please reach out. I hope you have a wonderful, happy day, and I will see you all later. Bye.